Today I'd like to share how I color a little lilacs in a picture image. This is a Karen Lockhart stamp. I'm using Memento ink and I'm using Copic Markers as my coloring medium. Let me just mention a thing about color choices first. Please don't stress if you don't have the exact colors that I'm using. This is actually my second selection of colors because I went back to make sure that I used colors that you all might have if you happen to have purchased them from Ellen's store. Use what you have. As long as you have a light tone, a mid-tone, and a dark tone, then you'll be okay. If your lilacs are pink or lilac or whether they lean toward the blue, it will work. Just use what you have, and as long as you establish shadows, highlights, and color well, it's going to look nice. There are several different colors of lilacs in hybrids, so we won't worry about that part. But I will tell you what colors I'm using as I go. This is my finished card. That dictated my color choices in part. For instance, am using a G21 lime green. It's a green that I rarely use, really, but it goes really well with this basic gray Euphoria paper. I chose the greens from there. And then I picked lilacs that leaned toward the pink. They're violets. They're not red violets, but they still have a bit of a reddish cast to them in order to coordinate with the rest of the paper. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to take V21 as my first marker. And I'm going to color basically in all of the blossom heads. The only thing I'm really avoiding in here is the leaves. I don't want to have to try to get rid of, oops, there I got some on one of the green leaves. That's okay, we'll fix that a little later. But the first thing you do is just color your area with your lightest marker. This is not a precision task. I'm putting some where she has these little stippled dots as well. I will soften those into the paper. I won't leave distinct edges there, but I'm still going to add some color in there. Okay, that's basically it. Again, this was, if I didn't mention it, this was V01. Next, I'm going to use a mid-tone, a V15. Now, I need to establish a light source. I can tell that Karen intended for the light source to be from the upper right. How? If you notice on all of these little lilac spikes, she has more stippling, more texture on the lower left. Therefore, her light source must be from the upper right. The easiest thing for me to do will be to continue with what she's already drawn, to take my hints from the illustrator. Sometimes you don't have those hints, and you have to create your own, but Karen has them here, so we will use them. Now you notice that this is just a solid area right now. You're not seeing any nice shading. That will come. Be patient. I'll show you how to take care of that. But for right now, again, I'm just getting color on paper. Almost finished with my mid-tone. I would say that I cover at least 50% with light tones. Maybe 60, probably 30% or so, 30 to 40 with my mid-tone, and then maybe only 10% with my dark tones. I didn't do the math right there, but I'm just saying that I really don't have that many darks compared to everything else. I'm now taking my V17 and adding some deep shadow in places where the lilacs are coming straight out of the center, where there would be more shadow. I'm trying to say, I'm stumbling on my words because I'm drawing. It's a little tough to stay in left brain mode and talk when you're in right brain mode coloring sometimes. Okay, I think that works for just getting color on the page. Time to go back now and blend. Now, normally you would think blending. I'm going to blend with a clear blender. Isn't that what it's for? Clear blender. Blend, okay? It really isn't. Well, I mean, you can blend with it, and we will blend with it a little bit later. We'll blend into the white of the paper. But just to blend, for instance, a light tone into a mid-tone, what's going to work best is your lighter marker. watch what will happen as I take my lighter marker and just very gently swirl along the edges where I have two distinct tones. See how I'm getting those softened now? Try doing that with a water-based marker. Good luck. But a Copic marker is made to do this. I really have enjoyed these markers. Okay, almost there. I have a couple more edges that could use some softening. Now, if I happen to lose too many lights, or if I have places that I have purple on my leaves, oh, I see a place I could go back and darken in just a hair in here at the base of that leaf. I can go back with that clear blender. I can lift highlights out, I can add texture, I can correct mistakes. The first thing I'm going to do is push the color out of that leaf where I got purple on the leaf. Now, let me just mention, sometimes I talk about a bleaching action. This is not technically a bleaching action. This is more considered a loaded watercolor brush. This would be like your water. It's pushing pigment out of the paper if you were making a comparison to watercolors. In Copic markers, you're having a solvent here that's pushing your ink out of the way. I hope this is focusing better than my previous 3 tries. Have a different setup with a little more light. What I'm hoping you can see is that I'm starting to get some texture. I'm just dabbing this on. I'm not scrubbing it. I'm just getting a little bit of texture by dabbing here and there and pulling some highlights out. I'm also going to go back at the very tips of some of these branches, and I will scrub just a tiny bit there in order to push color out and make sure that those show up as being highlighted. Keep in mind that this will continue to fade. You don't have to stay there and scrub at it until it's exactly as light as you want. It's going to keep fading for a bit after you stop. Okay, I am pleased now with the floral part. I'm going to go into the greenery. Again, I've chosen a G21 because it's a lime green, because it went well with the green in that Euphoria paper. I'm putting a bit of greenery there. I'm not positive that's a leaf, but I want a little bit more green in it, so I'm adding some there. I'm taking artistic license. Oh, I missed something down here. Here's a leaf, and I missed another area down here that really should be lilac. So I'll take my mid-tone and color that in. I think I have everything colored now on the top part. I'm going to take a G85, which isn't usually used with the G21. Usually if you wanted a darker value, you would say choose a G, I don't even know that there is a G24, but you see what I'm saying. If you're using a 21, maybe a 24, a 28, something like that. I chose a G85 because I'm in a shadow area anyway, or wanting to add shadows, and I thought I would choose something a little bit more grayed down, a little less vibrant than that lime green scheme. I'm adding a bit of shadow at the base of my leaves. I'm going to go back with my clear blender once again and pull some highlights out of those leaves because they're so dark right now. I want to just push a bit of that ink out of the tips of the leaves. I do have one place up there that I think was lilac that I treated as if it were leaf, but I wanted something green up toward the top, so we won't tell Karen I did that, okay? There we have it. I think I'm good to go.